21 people are in the water during the Fastnet race because the world's fastest monohull is upside down. This is the Sailor's Debrief 105 with Schaefer from the Ministry of Sailing. Stay tuned to find out if they survive and what rules changed.
Get ready for a massive roll-up. Think about a candy bar. Right there. Let's go.
On a sailboat, there's two rules. The ocean's job is to kill you. Your job is to not be killed. 21 people that capsized during the 2011 Rolex Fastnet race knew these rules. It's because of their expertise and their recommendations that changed sailing regulations forever. This is their story. Listen up, and you're going to hear how you might be able to save your own life. Rambler 100 was a maxi. Sleek, fast, and 100 feet long. Known as the fastest maxi in the world, she just broke the transatlantic record in 6 days and 22 hours. Just 10 days later in the Rolex Fastnet race in 2011, she almost ended up on the bottom of the Irish Sea. A crew of 21 prominent professionals was skippered by George David, also co-owner of the Rambler 100. The boat exceeded the required training for World Sailing Offshore Special Regulations for a Category 2 event, with 11 graduates of the World Sailing Offshore Personal Survivor course aboard. In addition, prior to the transatlantic race in July, the boat hired a professional safety trainer and conducted live man overboard and abandoned ship drills underway. They also had their safety kits professionally inspected and repacked. The value of this training is referred to several times in the crew narratives and is credited with saving the lives of those who were in the water for 3 hours prior to being rescued. This timeline was constructed by the crew's personal narratives, press reports, and the MRSC Valencia's rescue substation. At 17:17 on the 15th of August 2011, Rambler 100 crosses the Fastnet Rock on record time, really looking like they're going to break the record. At 17:40, 26 minutes after rounding the Fastnet Rock, Rambler's 18-foot keel fractures. It does it in winds that are 20 to 25 knots, gusting to 27 or 28. The seas were about 2 meters, square tops. It was misty, but also really foggy. Within 15 seconds, a 72,000-pound boat laid on its side with its sails and mast in the water. Within 60 seconds, the boat turned turtle. The next MayDay call on a handheld was abandoned to escape from the overturned boat. The handheld was lost as the navigator had to swim from inside the boat while it was upside down to get outside of the cabin. After the boat capsized, 16 of the crew got clear of the vessel, 4 of them without life vests, nor did they have any foul weather gear at the time. 5 people, all with life vests, who were on the deck, floated away. They linked themselves together as they learned in training. Only 2 of 21 personal locating beacons and none of the 3 boats' EPIRBs or life rafts were available once the boat was upside down. Somewhere between 1745 and 1750, 2 of the PLBs that were located inside the boat were activated. At 1809, ICAP Leopard, another 100-foot maxi, sailed between 300 to 400 meters just leeward of the overturned Rambler 100. All lights, all whistles, all waves, every action trying to get the attention of the crew on board failed. 5 minutes later, 2 Volvo 70s, Groupama and Abu Dhabi, and later an IMOC 60 sailed by to leeward. 16 people were strapped to the boat. 5 had floated away. An hour and a half had passed since the PLB was triggered until the rescue center sent out the first alert that there were persons in the water. First to call over the VHF was Gigi Bernard, competing in the Rolex Fastnet race, who was thought to be a crew member of one of the French multi-hulls in the race, was Overboard. At this time, it was still unknown that the Rambler 100 was inverted with 16 people strapped onto the hull and 5 others drifting out to sea. Because it was a personal locating beacon, one PLB that went off registered to one individual. The MayDay that went out from the Maritime Rescue Center only went out for one person. So still, even after an hour and a half, even after the MayDay, people were looking for an individual who was actually believed to be a Frenchman, possibly off of a multi-hull boat. It was a satellite phone call from the ICAP Leopard's navigator that really helped the rescue center identify that there was a high likelihood that Rambler 100 was capsized. Note, even though an hour and a half had passed, no one knew that Rambler 100 was capsized and the crew was still in the water. At 19:30, after trying to call Rambler's sat phone and getting no answer, a MayDay was declared by the MRSC. 2 helicopters and local craft were assigned to the search. At 1946, the lifeboat found the Rambler 100 upside down in the water. This was 45 minutes into their search, and it was immediately sent by those on Rambler to look for the 5 other people that were lost in the water. Shortly, however, they returned when they were notified that another boat has been assigned to search and rescue for the 5 crew members that were still in the water. They then conducted the transfer of the 16 people from Rambler 100 via a small 2-man dinghy controlled by some line. In 1946, the dive boat Wave Chieftain heard the pan call. They were only 3 miles away from the PLB position that was broadcasted over the radio. They started searching immediately upon hearing the radio call. At 1948, the race boat Hugo Boss broke off of racing, and they started searching for the 5 other individuals that were in the water. At 2020, with the sun getting very low in the sky, the RLNI lifeboat was able to transfer all 16 people off of Rambler 100 onto the lifeboat. At 20:31, just a few minutes before sunset, Wave Chieftain sees the 5 people tied together floating in the water. This is a dive boat, so they had a hydraulic lift, and they were able to get successfully all 5 people out of the water. And like a true skipper, George David insisted he would be the last one out of the water. 5 minutes later, after the 5 other sailors were pulled out of the water onto Wave Chieftain, they crossed paths with the lifeboat and they did a team salute. And at 20:59, one of the crew members that was suffering from hypothermia, a severe case of hypothermia, was airlifted off of Wave Chieftain into a local hospital for treatment and warming. This was the most serious injury of the day. At 20:30, Wave Chieftain hits the docks at Baltimore Sailing Club, and all the teams are reunited except for the one sailor that was in the hospital getting warmed up. It had been 3 hours since the turnover of the vessel to getting to the docks, but when they got to the docks, it was in total darkness. Much has been said about the fact that so much went so very well with this incident. The positives clearly outweighed the negatives, and the outcome was described by the owner and the skipper, George David, that they had 100% of outcome with no fatalities in a very challenging circumstances. But he attributes that to the Irish Coast Guard, the RLNI lifeboats, and the professionalism of his crew. There are a lot of things that contributed to the success of this rescue. You can read about those on our website, theministryofsailing.com, but let's get into the lessons learned. Now let's talk about what actually worked. What worked to actually save the lives of the people that were in the water and the people that are on top of the boat? You know, the safety packs with the PLBs and the strobe lights were issued to every crew member in preparation for an incident like that, but they didn't necessarily carry them and they weren't attached to the PFDs. 11 people on board had current offshore personal survival course tickets. Underway training, abandoned ship, crew overboards, and crew in the water survival training was given prior to the transatlantic race. As always in the Sailor's Debrief, we do the lessons learned so you don't have to. I think first lesson we're going to learn from this is that with 300 to 400 meters of boats going by them, they didn't have the ability to catch their attention. These were in the safety packs. And remember, if you have a safety pack, if it's not on you, it is not going to do any good. Keep those safety items with you. Another lessons learned are spray hoods and leg straps. At the time of this event and the type of the incident, spray hoods and leg straps were not mandatory. The people who had hypothermia in the water were the ones who did not have leg straps. They kept all of their energy by pulling down on their PFDs, their life vests, to keep their heads out of the water. Leg straps do that for you. The other thing that they thought was important is those that had the hoods over them, the spray hoods, those things kept the body temperature also at operating normal. Those without it also suffered. These spray hoods and these leg straps are mandatory for the offshore special regulations today because of this incident. Many of your life vests come with very inexpensive small whistles. Make sure you spend the time to understand that there are loud whistles that are available. This may have made a difference. Get the loudest whistle you possibly can. For my race teams, for $99 you can buy waterproof radios, 2 of them for $99. If a person has life vest on, they have a radio attached to it. If I got a person in the water, I want to be able to talk to them. Of the 5 that were in the water, they were asked the question, if there was one thing that they wish they had, besides the equipment they already had, what would that be? Collectively, each and every one of them answered swim goggles. That's right, swim goggles would have made a difference for them, a little more comfort and the ability for them to see a little better. We added some footage of some sailboats with orange colored appendages on the underside. That was also a rule change. You recall seeing the Rambler 100 upside down? Did you notice the dagger boards were white? Did you notice the rudder was white? That probably hindered the other boats from seeing the boat when it was upside down in the water. It was foggy, and you know what white looks like on white. It's hard to see. And also, as we said, one of the lessons learned was that the hands-on training that the team did collectively and together prior to the transatlantic race, when they broke the record and became the world's fastest maxi, made a huge difference in their ability to survive. They remembered the tools, they remembered the things that they did together, and they had each other to deal with. Safety at sea is critical. It's critical for you, it's critical for your boat. Find out a safety at sea course near you and sign up. According to George David, when he was in the Baltimore Sailing Club, seeing all your friends together, all your sailors together, being together having a cold beer, it was priceless. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about the Rambler 100 incident, the links are provided in the notes on this page. Please like, please share, and please subscribe to the Sailor's Debrief from the Ministry of Sailing. Sail safe, have fun.